Welcome, Josie. I'd like to introduce you and thank you for joining us today on Leadership Inside Out. Josie today is undertaking a very different task, a very different role today. She will be interviewing me. Um, uh, as I've gone through the podcasts over the last couple of months, I've become very aware that people have wanted to know a little bit more about my backstory, about why I have wanted, and are really passionate about delivering this podcast to people. So Josie has very kindly offered to interview me and give you, the listener, the opportunity to understand, why this is important, why I'm so passionate about this particular podcast. So welcome, Josie.
Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure to be here. And I am looking forward to asking some questions and just understanding a lot more about yourself. So, do you want to start?
Certainly. So people may not realize, but it depends if you're British or not. I'm an immigrant. I immigrated from New Zealand when I was 21. Those one-way ticket. I came not knowing anybody, not having a job, not having anywhere to live. Turned up in London. All I had arranged was a 2-week tour of the UK, Europe, and that was it. From there, I met friends, contacted, talked, found somewhere to live, found a job, and then a year or so later, started my very first permanent role. So at the age of 22, I started work for Hewlett Packard.
Fantastic. That's a really interesting mindset, because those are really big challenges to move to a new country, take on a whole new, culture, and look for a job and try to start on a career path too. So, how do you feel that mindset helped you through your career and now in your coaching services?
Well, I think that mindset was very much the accumulation of a lot of very personal experiences I had as a child. Um, I was in a situation where my father brought me and my sister up. So I was the oldest child. So I was very used to looking after myself, looking after my sister, being very, very independent, thinking. My father was a small business person. He built his business from scratch, sold it, then rebuilt it again. He was very busy trying to support the family. So I had that mentality of just getting on and doing the right thing. I also had, and I didn't know it at the time, but I am dyslexic, but I was very successful at school. So, 12, 13, 14, I learned a lot of techniques to help me overcome my dyslexia, more by hard work than anything else. So I turned up in the UK on a one-way ticket, expecting to be successful, expecting that my hard work would pay off, and that's been a common theme throughout my entire career. Um, Coming from a New Zealand background, very pragmatic, very practical. So being able to adapt, focus on what people wanted and needed rather than on, theory or what was supposed to happen, has really kept me, given me a really good foundation for my entire career.
Absolutely, it really sounds like that too. And I'd imagine in more senior positions that you held, that came through in your leadership style too.
Absolutely. It's interesting because while people may think that, having a background from New Zealand, that actually culturally very similar to the UK, I actually really struggled when I first came to the UK because there were, subtle but really important differences in the way that people thought about work, thought about friendship, and so forth. As I gained those skills, I was incredibly lucky. I had colleagues and friends in those sort of first formative years of work that took off the rough edges, helped me adapt to the British culture. And that sort of pragmatism, that practical approach, has allowed me to, well, I had a goal at 22 to become an HR director by the time I was 32. I achieved that at the age of 29. So that very practical, pragmatic, get things done, has certainly, in those early years especially, held me in a really good place.
Absolutely. And it sounds as though the structure, the plan that you talk about, helped you realize your ambition sooner.
Absolutely.
Um, and I'm guessing now, as well as a coach, that allows you to give back sooner as well. Yeah,
Yeah. No, and I, as I say, very lucky, had great opportunities, a lot of support. And those sort of very early life experiences, self-sufficiency. Although I was raised by my father, I had some very powerful women in my life. My grandmother, my nana, my aunt, very practical nursing background. So, matter of fact. Um, and that opportunity, working in a culture that's much more egalitarian, much more, you know, down to earth meant, I could relate to people far easier than, many people my age, many people my experience.
absolutely. And I'm sure it carries through when you meet brand new clients now with your coaching services. Because I think it's not easy sometimes to strike rapport, instantly, but how
No.
do you come across, how has that challenge come across for you, and how do you overcome situations like that where you are trying to bring somebody on side?
Well, I'm not naturally a gregarious person. I'm quite introverted. I'm quite reflective. But when I meet clients, my focus is entirely on them. And it's not about me, it's about putting them at ease, creating a safe space for them. And that's about, being empathetic. I do my research, I ensure I know about their role, about their industry. Um, I've been lucky enough to have a lot of personal, experiences that give me, a lot of things to draw upon. And by focusing on the client, it's about, creating a space where they feel that they can speak up, that I'm treating them confidentially, fully focused on them, and, giving that opportunity to be heard.
So important. And
Mm.
it also sounds as well from your background that if you were lucky to cross paths with helpful personalities, people who wanted to see you win, you want to give back now. Is that quite a strong driver for you?
It is. Uh, we and this is partly why the podcast is so important. On the outside, we were talking earlier, on the outside, I look like a white male, but on the inside, I faced, prejudice, I faced difficulties, and I don't apologize or I don't want sympathy. That's who makes me. And I think, all of us have faced those barriers. All of us are unique and offer something very special. And all of us have had to overcome, different parts and different things in our lives to get where we are today. And I feel so privileged to be, listening and being part and hearing people's journeys, and to be giving others the opportunity to be inspired and get practical advice on how to overcome some of these things that we all face in different ways.
Absolutely. There isn't really a roadmap when you join the workforce. Um, and you are lucky if you cross paths with helpful people. So, in terms of your coaching services, then, how do you see your strengths helping clients, especially busy executives?
Um, so for me, I've had sort of three quite distinct careers. I executive, by standards, by corporation standards, quite successful. A couple of HR director roles, but 20 years ago, I went out in my own business. I've worked with a range of different clients, different industries, on a whole raft of different people-related projects, from change management, restructurings, systems. And I've done a lot of coaching over the last 15 years, a lot of training. So, that combination of executive experience, human resources background, so I know what organizations really manage against, what they pay people, why they look to promote people. So that, breadth of experiences in different companies, different organizations, that seniority, but also the deep understanding how organizations really operate, creates a wealth of knowledge that I want to share. I want to, help my clients in a very pragmatic way. But also, I hope, I believe, I get told that my clients feel safe. I create a safe environment for them. Um, I'm not very judgmental. I've faced enough difficulties in my past, and I've seen enough, different things to know that it's not about judging. It's about helping, recognizing and finding a way through what I call those transitions, those periods of uncertainty where clarity may not be, may not be very clear in terms of future directions.
Absolutely, and it's allowing your client to invest in themselves
Absolutely.
with the benefit of all of your wisdom, experience to date. Underrated, that sort of self-investment, I
Yeah.
think. So in terms of the future, and how you see coaching services being provided and you personally, where the direction you'd like to take your coaching services, how do you see that playing out?
I've always been very flexible. I've been through a formal career. I've been through project management, transition, interim management career. But I'm at a stage in my life where giving back, supporting one-on-one, and I just feel so privileged and so energized helping individuals through their journeys. So, part of this podcast, the Leadership Inside Out podcast, was about giving back, about creating an environment where people could speak up and help others. And I see my future, certainly for the foreseeable, doing very much the same thing. Um, Again, we were talking very briefly about it. I've written a couple of books this year. I'm very passionate about, menopause in the workplace, for instance, about helping women speak up, but actually, as importantly, if not more importantly, helping men, gain the skills, the confidence, the knowledge to support women, either as partners, as loved ones, or as managers, or as executives and professionals. Um, Again, that opportunity, that background, I've got, the experience and the knowledge to drive some of these, underthought through these issues where many people haven't. So it's a great opportunity to use this as a force for good.
Absolutely, and that's a really interesting angle that you've chosen there. Can you tell us a little bit more about the menopause in the workplace angle that you're championing?
I'd love to. If we don't think we have enough time to go into great detail, but I'm blessed. I have a partner, my sister, both going through different versions of menopause, and I see these incredibly, skilled, knowledgeable, powerful women being laid low by their bodies and by a lack of support, and a lack of knowledge about what support is appropriate. So it's not a deliberate thing on the behalf of their organizations. It's not a deliberate thing on behalf of the males around them. And I cannot ever speak for a woman in that circumstance. But what I can do is help men, is help organizations create an environment where women shouldn't have to suffer alone. They shouldn't have to suffer in silence, and they should expect and demand that their colleagues, whatever age, whatever gender, whatever their seniority, can and should be supportive. It's not just about them as human beings, although that is critical, but it's as an organization, it just makes sense if organizations want to get the best out of all their people, to create an environment where you are allowing them to actually maximize their benefits, maximize their what they can deliver by creating a place where their body and their mind are well looked after and supported.
Yes, I couldn't agree more actually. And again, I'm going to use the word interesting, but I think we do apply it to times of grief in our life with bereavement leave, parental leave, and if you're caring for somebody else too. So why not menopause? Perhaps it's even a question that hasn't been posed before.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen a shift in menopause, particularly over the last couple of years. It's becoming less of an issue, less of a taboo subject. And I think it's just a very natural next step to help, men and organizations create environments where it isn't something that is hidden. It's something that 50% of the population will go through to some degree or another. And what comes out the other end are these really powerful, focused, ambitious, skilled women who feel that they want to give back to potentially those organizations that supported them through tough times.
That's incredible work. Is there a place where listeners can access your books?
Um, yes, certainly. So website is the starting point. We're just in the process of creating a range of materials. The book is being launched in early mid-December 2024, just to be clear. And we're developing a range of materials that will actually, support at a very practical level, both, individuals, including women, and helping their menfolk, their male, colleagues, as well as organizations that can, help them create environments that are more supportive. So yeah, GuyEllis.net is the website, and that's the starting point for understanding, what's available for free, what's available in terms of, more formal support from myself.
Brilliant. And thank you for broaching the subject on a wider level. I think it's brave and needed too. So if we were going to leave listeners with just a closing comment on coaching services, what would it be from you?
Um, Coaching, as a coach, I also have a coach. I'm a powerful believer in it. I spend a lot of time both with executives, with business owners, but also I give a lot of my time to younger people as well. And every day I see the power of somebody, being able to listen, and the benefits to that person, someone being heard, offering not necessarily advice, but support, creative feedback, and whether it's myself, whether it's anybody else, coaching, having the benefit of a coach is a very powerful, very supportive, and can do wonders both for your career, but also for all aspects of your life. So as an executive coach, of course, I'm very supportive of what I do, but there is that ability to be heard, that ability to have a different perspective, non-judgmental, can be really valuable for any one of us at any stages in our lives. And as I say, I've been lucky enough from a very early age to be heard and to be challenged and supported. And certainly my career and my life has benefited incredibly strongly from that support.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasurable chat and wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thanks, Josie.